Up, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
I am fantastic. We get to talk to a great guest today. It's a great day in Orlando. Got to talk to Hollie before and Alex. So it's always a great day when I get to talk to y'all.
I'm excited. Looking forward to this show.
I feel like David Letterman, like, our guest needs no introduction or whatever his thing is. But for those who aren't familiar with Alex Piech is brilliant when it comes to marketing. He's in real estate, so not only does he teach and help others market their business, he actually does it himself too. So it's not just some fugazi, theories that he's making up. He's actually in the trenches with real estate agents, and then also helping them too as well, and leading his team and all that good stuff. So welcome, Alex. Thanks for being on with us.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to chop it up with you guys. So I'm looking forward to a good interview. However I could add value, I'm down.
Yeah, so man. So I was gonna say I got a bad habit that y'all got to experience here on the back end, where I'll basically start going through an interview. We'll start chopping it up, going deep dive. We're like, all right, we just did a great interview that's not even live. So I kind of want to start diving into that, where we were kind of pick up where we left off a little bit and make sure that we backtrack.
Sure.
But Alex, so you're getting into real estate now. So kind of walk me through what made you, what was that decision filter for you to get back into real estate?
Yeah, man. So, I've been in real estate since 2003. So 17 years. Yeah, it's crazy to even say that, but 17 years into selling real estate. But about in 2014, for those of you who don't know my story, I moved from Connecticut to Dallas. And, I had met Jay Kinder, Michael Reese, John Kitchens at a mastermind in Vegas. And they were like, hey, man, we're looking to grow a real estate company, a coaching company, maybe franchise. Would you be willing to come down here? There's opportunity. And I was willing to make a move. Myself and my wife were actively looking to move. And I was just crazy enough to say yes. I circled the date on a calendar, packed my shit up, drove to Texas. My wife stayed in Connecticut. I had a little apartment. And that's what ended up getting me here. And I've been since then, kind of coaching and training, doing a lot of their role play calls, their boot camps, eventually grew the real estate partner program with Michael Reese. He and I literally got an office in downtown Dallas with John, and we started a brand new brokerage from scratch, built it to 300 deals our first year. So I've been out of the active buyer and seller side since I moved here. And then recently, man, about 60 days ago, I found myself doing a bunch of things, man, just a bunch. I felt overwhelmed, working my ass off, and I was making a little bit of money from a lot of different areas. But I'm working my ass off. I'm like, real estate's been your thing since you were 19 years old. You're in a phenomenal market in Dallas. You don't got to bust your ass. Go do 3 deals a month, and you can make an incredible monthly income. And then your residual income businesses pay you no matter what. And I was like, I was just doing basic math. I was like, shit, if I just did that, I would work way less and earn more. But that's what it was, man. Just simplifying to go bigger and faster, if that makes sense.
What is that? Was that Billy Mays when he was doing his commercials, when he'd be like, there's got to be a better way, right? So you're sitting there like, man, I'm doing all this. There's got to be a better way.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've come to realize that, saying yes to a lot of shit, because that's who I am. If you called me and said, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And it's always believe it or not, it's to the detriment of myself and being focused. But that's just who I am. So I say yes to everything. And I find myself doing marketing and lead generation and coaching and training. And I'm doing all this shit. And it's you look back and man, I'm exhausted. And then, it's just not the reward at the end of the tunnel. So I was like, I need to scale back and really focus on where I want to go and what my plans were. So I started just saying no to 99% of the opportunities that come my way to, do less, but make a bigger impact, and ultimately, you got to take care of your family. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's what I love about Alex is like you hit it on the point. You're like, I don't have to do a whole bunch of things to get one, you know what I mean, to get a little bit. So it's not like you're trying to say, oh, I have to sell 200 homes. I mean, you're gonna drive yourself crazy doing that. It's saying, okay, well, I can make 30 grand just by selling 3 houses minimum, and that's just the average here in Dallas. Like you said, doing the least amount, like not least amount of effort, but a lot less than having to juggle things around and actually spend time with family, especially like right now. I know you guys are home based sometimes and with littles and everything. When your priorities shift, it goes from, it's not about you anymore, and it's not just about you and Sarah anymore. It's about you, Sarah, Nash, and Noah. So super awesome to see you make that transition and understand the importance of family. One thing I really want to talk to you about is like you have always been, I feel like I've always admired your knowledge of Facebook. So like I feel like you're really good and you're always in the know when it comes to Facebook. So let's kind of dive into a little bit of like some tips, tricks when it comes to Facebook and like lessons learned. Because right now you're actively doing ads and running ads, correct, on Facebook?
Yep, for sure.
So like I know like Facebook can be wonky. They'll kick it back and say it's against like, their rules, regulations, it's a special category. So like what are some things that you have discovered when you're running your ads, and what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people make?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a lot there to unpack. So I got efficient in Facebook for one reason. When we were in our partner program, people don't believe this, but we were spending 12 to 15 grand a month on seller leads. And there were markets where like Google would not spend our entire budget. Like they would be like, no, sorry, we can't spend all your money. There's not enough impressions or reach.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. And we had partners that we made an offer to like, hey, we're going to get you to 4 deals a month. So I had to figure some shit out fast. So, but by the way, just so I had never built a funnel. I had no clue what I was doing. I understood marketing because I had gone through all of Dan Kennedy from like my early days in Remax and through some coaching. So I knew the fundamentals of marketing, but I had no idea how to apply it to that platform.
So that's you saying yes again, and you're like, all right, now I just got to figure it out.
well, that one I had no choice. Like I had people depending on me, so I was like, all right, I got to figure this shit out and figure it out fast. So I bought a course, and it was teaching me how to build funnels and lead pages, and I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then part of it was like when you have a funnel built, you got to go, get it out to what's your marketing media. And they were talking about Facebook. So that's kind of how I started to learn this whole process. And then since then, I got to be honest with you, I've spent a lot of money in mastermind with the best people. I've been in Billy Jean's School of Genius for 2+ years. I've been through Frank Kern's stuff, top to bottom. I even worked with Frank Kern's media buyer, Hernan, one-on-one for months. Just learning the ins and outs. And I'm nowhere near like a guru in Facebook. Like I could do what I do, but like there's so much. So I think the key is keeping it simple, right? Like don't try to overdo everything. And like if you could just get one ad up and running, just like focus on that. Yes. Like the retargeting, the remarketing, like all the crazy stuff you can do with it. Like, you got to crawl before you walk, right? You got to walk before you run. So do the basics. And I got to be honest with you, as soon as you have enough money to where you can hire somebody who's decent at it, get it off your plate because it is not the highest and best use. Remember how I said I started saying no? I started running ads for 10, 15 other agents, and I'm like sucked into their ads manager and all their, and I'm like, whoa, there's like, I'm not
shooting. Yeah.
I'm like, hell no. Like, get it off your plate because here's the thing. We always talk about where do you make the most money? I make the most money when I'm actively prospecting and meeting clients and negotiating deals. I'm not making money when I'm taking a Facebook course trying to figure shit out, right? So get it off your plate. Like, get a commission, put $500 of that, put it to the side, pay somebody, like get some momentum in your business and get it off your plate because Facebook is changing constantly. You could learn it today with a program, and in 6 months, the ads managers change, the demographic targeting has changed, and now you know nothing again.
Man, I'm just thinking of a time where I was trying to get into that world too, right? And now, like you said, I figured out some basics and we just hired out. We're like, all right, who the hell knows how to do this? I'm going to find somebody, right? But I remember it was the most basic thing, but Facebook, like the ads manager account, they moved the button somewhere. And I just couldn't find this freaking button. I'm Googling it, but it was so recent. Nobody had training videos on it yet. And that's when I decided, I'm like, you know what? This isn't for me. I spent 3 hours trying to find a freaking button that I don't even know if I know what to do with it if I found it. So I'm like, you know what? Like you said, keep it simple, hire out. It's the same thing when you're talking about these videos, getting things done, you know, like keep it simple. And if you want to take the next steps, hire out, you know?
Yep.
And I want to take a little bit to talk a little bit about the kitchen table mastermind. Because, man, I'll tell you what, the people who left there, I already talked to a couple. They were inspired. They're out doing those things. I want to kind of dish it over to Hollie. Oh, Hollie.
Yeah,
there we
awesome.
go. To Hollie. Yeah.
Alex sat in with us, and for the past last week? It feels like it was yesterday. The last week had a 2-day event. It was kind of like a really 2.5 because Wednesday was kind of like a half meet and greet type thing. But it was great. It's just about strategy. It's about, you know, going through and smarting out your priorities and who's doing what. I mean, obviously that's something, and it's funny, is like before we went live is you guys were talking about how much you hate that stuff. And me personally, I do too. Like I was looking at measuring some numbers and net metrics for Facebook for a marketing client of mine, and I was about to go cross-eyed. And John's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just really trying to focus really hard right now on this Excel spreadsheet. Like numbers is just, you know what I mean? But you have to get it done.
Right.
You should know what you do." But yeah, it was an awesome 2 days. It's funny because as soon as Alex had left, they were like, "Man, he's awesome. He's so like knowledgeable, whatever." I'm like, the funny thing is we actually got him off Craigslist. He's a paid actor. You guys won't ever see him again. He's not. But obviously that's not the case. But yeah, it was a great 2 days for sure. Appreciate you coming out, Alex.
Yeah, and one of the things too, I mean, this is the branding and content show, so I got to bring it up. Man, I saw like 5 people leave with their jiffies, whatever you want to call them, those little stickers like pointing up, pointing down, like doing just so. And I'll tell you what, I got that from you, Hollie, and I got like, last time I checked, I had like 4 million hits just from doing that. And it's insane like how much, it's kind of untapped with that when you think about it. Like, I didn't even know you can do that. So how'd you even figure that out? That you can do it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was on my plate because I had seen somebody in our group or somebody had something. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like, if they can get on there, I can get on there. And no discredit to them. It's just that, you know what I mean? Like I always thought it was like something, I don't know. But so I did some research. I probably spent like a good 2 weeks of trying to figure out, because you guys know me, I'm DIY, but I'm like, if it's gonna be DIY, it's gonna be simple and anybody can be able to do it. So I finally formulated like this really easy process after like trials and tribulations of what program removes the video transparent, and then how do you take that and convert it to a GIF so easy, because it's got to be simple or else people aren't going to do it. And I just started doing it, and they're just so much fun. Well, you know, too, it's also like kind of an authority. People don't understand that. It's like you post that to your story, and then you have a sticker on there. Well, obviously not everybody. There's a process to get approved to be on that. So like people start seeing that, and then they're like, how did you do that? Like I get messages all the time. And funny because DJ had his done, and he had messaged me. He's like, "They've been blowing me up trying to figure out how to do. How did I get on there?" And I'm like, "That's awesome." He's like, "Yeah, hit me up." So I went through and I sent him the little course information. But it's fun. It's awesome. It's fun, and it's just another cool thing too is it helps with online presence, because when you Google your name, starting out. I always tell people, Google your name and see what you find. You might have some old MySpace profile that you didn't remember. Like, when you dropping F-bombs everywhere because you thought it was cool to test when you're a teenager. So, Google your name too, but then also, like, when you Google the name, you'll see, oh, wait, Hollie has a GIF. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be up in the images. So it's just adding online presence, and it's adding more too. And when you click on it, it'll do all the hashtags that you hashtag with it. So say, like, Alex Piech real estate, Alex Piech Frisco, whatever you want to tag it with. But to me, it's more than just having a fun story, like a little story fun animation. It's establishing your brand. It's adding to your online presence, but then also it's authority, because again, not everyone can do it. There's a process you have to go through. So Alex is now a fresh face to the sticker store. I don't know what you call it, but
story stickers.
Yeah. No, it's it's crazy that like when I started getting those stickers from taking your course, Hollie, people were asking me like, man, like you finally like made it, like they did that for you, and I'm thinking like, man, how many people out there think like they make those for only select people, and it's that perception, right? So I think that was great in that aspect, and it was just funny how many people reached out like, whoa, I can't believe they let you on here. I'm like, all right, I might not correct you sometimes, but you know.
I mean, but it's true though. You do have to go through a process to get approved. It's not like anybody can slap it up there and get up there. So there is a method to madness.
So I think Alex too, being like almost like a new age, like I guess you say quote unquote new agent in the area. And you were saying like the simple things to do. Like, so what are the simple ways? Like, this is we want to kind of like branding and content. What are some of those simple things that you're gonna do consistently to get your name out there, be that new agent, really just take over your area?
Yeah, great question, man. We've always said, what happens when you get parachuted into a new market and nobody knows you, right? We've all heard that. Well, the old school way was like, well, I'd kill FSBOs, I'd kill expires. Good luck in the hottest real estate market we've ever seen in our history where none of those exist, right? Like, you better change your strategy because calling people ain't working, right? So I think content is like the most underused thing. And I think most of it is because people psych themselves out on like, what am I going to say? I don't look good on camera. I got to get ready to get on film. And the truth is, man, I think the stickers, like, differentiate yourself, just constantly being present, reminding people of who you are and what you do, like dialoguing your day, kind of like a video, like a vlog, right? Like, here's the shit we're going through as real estate agents. Here's a challenge my client just had. Here's how we overcame it. Here's a common question. Like, I just tell people, go through your last transaction. What are all the questions your client asked you? Shoot a video on that. Do a market update. Go highlight a neighborhood. Highlight, a new development. Highlight a new model home. Just put out so much information valuable to the consumer. Do the right hashtags. Do the right targeting. And by the way, it takes time, right? This is not an overnight, like, flip a switch and you got leads coming in. You need to have consistency with doing all this. But man, your stuff doesn't even got to be good. Like, one of mine, I had a situation pop up and I was like, damn, I better just turn it on and do this video before I forget it. And it's 6:30 in the morning. I got my little guy down here. I'm running late for appointments. I got to jump in and I turned it on. You could hear him watching his car show. My hair's a mess. And people were like, yeah, dude, that looks like me at 6:30 in the morning. That's exactly what it takes for me to get out of the house, just right? Like, so they instantly are like, all right, this dude isn't the $1 million agent who's got a team of producers making. No, he's the real deal. So I think just producing really good, raw content. And there's a whole bunch of page strategy and things that we could talk about that I think is really gangster with like your best content, but you got to produce daily content. Produce daily content. Then look back 30 days. What was my most engaged video? Pick your top 3, and then run ads to those 3. And if you really want to get awesome, like, download those 3, do the video highlights, the bumpers, the closed captions, make them look really good, and then use those for your paid ads because now they got the captions. You could do a headline. You could do, like, now your content is dialed in. But all you did was produce a live content or uploaded video every day for 30 days. You looked at your insights on Facebook. You picked your best 3 performing ones, and then you put a little bit of an ad spend around it, or even boosting. Like, I do everything through the ads manager because I want to dial things in. But to keep it simple, boost it to a 15-mile radius of where you live, period. Let every buyer, seller, homeowner see, man, this guy puts out good shit. He does a market update. He's telling me information I want to know. He's telling me what's happening with interest rates and how affordability is. Like, that's what people want to know about the market. And here's the thing. When the market shifts and you have companies like Zillow trying to push realtors out of the way, or you have iBuyers who are trying to get realtors out of the way, the only thing that's going to help you stand out and differentiate yourself is your brand. People want to do business with you because if they think you're just like everybody else, you're a commodity, they're going to go with whoever will do it for the lowest price. But if you are positioned as the local expert, the subject matter expert, the person who's been pouring value. They just call you and they don't shop you against other real estate agents. And that's, to me, one of the ways you protect yourself, your income, from some of the outside, companies trying to get their, hands in the pocket of the real estate commission.
That's so good. I think that's a lot of mistake a lot of people make, is like they focus so much on the numbers. They don't necessarily focus on establishing that relationship and being the expert in what makes them unique. Because what's going to happen is, you might, if you spend a whole bunch of money and you generate some leads and sell some houses, but if you're just like everyone else, there's no loyalty to you. There's no loyalty to your brand. So what's going to happen is, whenever they have somebody else that wants to buy or sell a house for themselves, they're going to go back at the next shiny object, because that's what you're throwing at them. You weren't being authentic. You weren't being real. You weren't focused on developing that relationship. You're just trying to find a number. Like, oh, I got X amount of this, or I got X amount of that. But at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, establishing it, then also differentiating yourself and building authority around your brand, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we did. So I was actually trying to figure out his office today, and I spoke at like a meeting, whatever, and Figueroa. She was very adamant. I said it wrong like 5 times. But anyways, so I was in there, and we did this quick exercise, because it was the same thing, talking about branding. I'm like, all right, Veronica's got a great brand. Like, I think we all agree on that, right? I'm like, what are the first things you think of when you think of Veronica? And everyone's like, tenacious, queen. She's tenacity, like saying all these things. I'm like, notice not one person said real estate. And it's not a bad thing. It's because when you think of her, that's what she does, not who she is and what her brand is, right? So like when they think of her, like the content, everything she produces, we're going to hire her for the person that she is, and just know that, like, man, that person, yeah, they have a great system. Yeah, they're a great agent, but I know like that they will run through a brick wall to get my home sold. They will solve my problem. So like they're buying to you and your brand. So it's not necessarily like just shooting videos on that. And like you said, it's here's my day, here's my real authentic me, and that's what people buy. That's the difference. You are the difference in your brand.
Yeah, man. And I think, letting the consumer see, like, one of the things, I just had a listing go live, and like, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, right? Because if I was coaching and training you, I'd be like, man, you only got to do high dollar producing activities, which you have to do 75% of the time. But like, what do you do with the rest of the hours in the day? So what I did is, I knew my drone and video guy was at the house. So I scooted my ass over there, and I turned on my phone. I did a live, and I'm like, if you're thinking about selling your home, and I started telling them about why we do this and the impact it has on their bottom line as a seller. Had nothing to do about me, how great my brand was, but it was 95% of consumers are on the internet. With COVID and restrictive showings and this and that, how you bring your home digitally to the market is more important right now than ever before. Check out this $5,000 3D digital camera. It's going to map this entire house. And I start educating them. Like, a seller is going to watch that and be like, I want that in my house. And that's it. That's the game over. Now, it took me 35 seconds to shoot the video, and, but the drive there, the drive back, and then repurposing that content. But man, in today's market, if you're not indexing, like over-indexing the social media, here's how I get my clients the results. Because the clients don't know what we do that's different than anybody else, right? They do think we're all the same. So like, I'm just building that content, that portfolio of here's what I do. Here's how it benefits you. And if you always think about, what does my consumer want and how do I solve that problem? Man, you're going to have, you're going to have a kick-ass content strategy for sure.
100%. So one thing too I want to talk about was when it comes to Facebook. You have ads. Everybody kind of familiar with ads. You have to pay to play, especially if you have a business page, obviously, because you can't promote a personal page. But also too, Alex, what you're really good at too is not just generating leads and generating good ads that perform well, but you also like talk about the importance of organic attraction as well. Because I mean, people I think are so focused on, oh, I want to spend money, I want to get all these people liking, and that's good. But your focus is you want to also have retention. You also want to create content that has people attracting to you naturally versus having to pay for it. So can you kind of give some little bit of an insight when it comes to how to grow organically when it comes to Facebook?
So I think the name of the game is video on that, right? We know Facebook, Instagram, everything they want is going to the stories, right? It used to just be in the feed. Then they created stories, and now they have reels, which is kind of, I guess, like a TikTok for, like that shit I'm not into, but I do it because I understand that's where the consumer's eyes are, right? So if you want to get the organic, you better be producing video, because what Facebook's algorithm is going to do is say, Alex produced the video, nobody watched it. Do you think they're going to push that to anybody else? No. But if you create good, engaging video, like, hey, leave me a comment, share, like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Tell me in the comments. And you get engagement. Facebook says, oh, this ad is building some momentum. Let's show it to a bigger percentage. Let's show it to other people who might like this message based on their behaviors. It's slow because, like, my Facebook page, I started from zero. So how do you go from zero? So it takes a little bit. But once you get that momentum, man, now you start to really, everybody sees your message. And, so all my content is always organic. The only time I go paid is when I can look at the free organic and say, man, that one post had 40% more engagement than these posts. What I was talking about must have been like resonating with people. And if it resonates with them, it's going to resonate with a bigger audience. Now I'll go put a paid budget behind it.
And on that note too, like you said, like when you put out that consistent content and then you can go back and look at like, hey, what engaged more? Then you realize, okay, this message hits with my audience. So I'm going to create more videos based on that message too. So you can just keep like fine tuning and figuring out, what does my audience want to hear? What do they want to do? I know the one video that Al Stacey on his Instagram that posted, it got up to, I think it's up to like over 250,000 views, and that's organic. It was insane. It just took off, and we're like, how do we replicate this? It's like, well, the message hit. So let's create more of that message and keep putting it out there. So it's just really, like you said, like, yes, for the paid part, yes, you're going to take your best performing videos and then get into that. And it's also looking at the next step is, okay, when I create more content, let's create more that hits on this message, because that's what the people want to hear.
And, like I had, I'm with you, Alex, like Reels, like TikTok is just like, I love being like, animated, but like, I just don't know. I don't have patience to like learn it all. So I had this little tip that I had, like when I had DIY Legend, like last year I had posted it and didn't think anything of it. And I just think, I was like, what, like what old content that's helpful? What can I like refurbish? And it was a hashtag. So I just did like this little, like I talked as fast as I could to get within the 30 seconds. And I'm like, what do you do? But like it had so much hits on it because I guess it's been a while since I posted it. And it's even more today because people are realizing hashtags aren't going away. So it's just like shortcuts, easy stuff. But like that post had so much like a performance, like when it came to like how it performed on Reels. And I was like, got it. So now it's like something like, okay, so what are some other tutorials I can do in the same fashion? Or how can I take that piece of content and repurpose it? Or now I can take it and put some money behind it to attract even more people. I think that's what people miss out a lot of. They're so focused on like, oh, I got to put content out. I got to put content out. Yes, you do. But you also got to build it with your pillar content. You got to take those big, good nuggets and also start building your brand, building your audience with them. And then just watch it keep duplicating it. So, yeah, that's so smart.
Yeah. So, and I just came up with a strategy where, I just kind of laid out, what are my top 5 to 7 buyer videos? Like every question I always get from them. And I did a buyer section and a seller section. And I knew those would get good engagement because those are my most, over 17 years, you realize I get the same questions over and over and over. And if people keep asking you, that means, people want to know. So like, that's a good hack to just kind of figure out what to post. Go do research on your competition if they have a YouTube channel or whatever, and then sort their videos by the most engaged, because you're going to see like, they'll have 100 videos and they all have 2 likes, but 2 or 3 videos will have 50 likes.
Right.
Rip off and duplicate, put your spin on it, but that topic worked.
Dude, I love that. That's like the name of the game with a lot of things we do. It's like, hey, look what this person did. That got a lot of likes and videos. Let's do the same thing. It's not being the most creative person out there. It's just being the best copycat. It's being the best, like, it's not even the copycat, it's being the smartest. Figuring out what other people are doing, duplicating it. We have something, a lot of things we do, we clone Cardone. So we look at things he does, we look at the videos he does, overlays different things. Like, oh, cool, he does that. He paid a lot of money for his ad team to look at the landing page and say, this is what'll convert. So we just if we just copy it and just say, this works, he paid a lot of money to do it, let's just copy what he did.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, man. I think in our space for what we do, I don't think we've reinvented the wheel in real estate. Like there's nothing like new secret sauce, right? I think people are just very ego driven. Like they hold everything here. And I said this at the kitchen table. A lady was like, I created these awesome YouTube videos and my people love them. And I said, why don't you give that shit away for free? And like, I could see the horror, like, give it away for free. And I was like, yep. Because people can duplicate your content, they can't duplicate you, right? Like her shit resonated because of how she made her clients feel. And I was like, that's going to come across on your video. So I could do a same video on the same content and it fall flat because I can't duplicate you. So like duplicating content and topics is cool. So I just challenged her, give it away. Like take all your unpublished private videos and flip them to public so they're all searchable on Google.
That's
yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah. And plus it's, go ahead.
So sorry. It's kind of what I'm doing right now. It's like a Be on TV boot camp. And their thing was like, I think it was day 2 or so we went through it. It was like, use your envy as a tool. And it's envy as far as like, okay, so who do we want to be like, or who do we want to be? You said Cardone, right? Like, you could sit there and be angry and upset that Cardone has all this money and you don't, and he's doing that. Or you can use the envy as energy, use that as a tool, and then go through and see what is he doing? Let him spend all the money on what converts, what doesn't convert, and then we can go through and say, okay, now how to take this, put my own spin to it. Obviously, we don't copy and paste it because everyone will see right through you, but it's understanding, all the things and swallowing your ego and allowing yourself to say, okay, you know what? I'm not the smartest in the room. I'm not the best kept secret. I'm not doing anything that's earth-shattering. I need to go through and expand my mind and see what other people are doing for sure.
Man, I think it was Frank Kern. I want to say it was Frank Kern that said, he's like, man, the only difference between my $97 course and the $9,000 course is the name on it. He's like, I'm just giving it all away on like everything. Like he just gives. Like people like that understand the law of abundance. They understand that there's so much knowledge, so much information out there that they give away stuff for free. They give away courses. Billy Jean just packaged like everything he's ever created into like this amazing deal and this offer. And it's just, like you said, there's no such thing as an original idea. You think you have one chance, it's been done 50 times before you, right? Yeah. So just be willing to give value.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at people who built their brand on the guaranteed home sale. Man, let me tell you something. You go pick up Dan Kennedy's trust-based marketing book from like 1989, and he'll tell you how that really truly came up with Craig Proctor and how they put it together with Jay Abraham. Now it's been duplicated, ripped off by 1,000 number one agents in every market. Like they're doing something new. They just copied something that somebody else found out that worked. Like, it's just, and here's the thing. Maybe you did it on a billboard and that's where you took off. Maybe you did it in the newspaper. Maybe you wrapped your vehicle. People will do it on different media, but nobody who created that message. It was created 25, 30 years ago. Like it's not unique. It's not different, but it was so different that it scared a lot of agents from ever wanting to learn about how to implement into their business. So that's what made that agent number one, not the message. They didn't have the fear of the limiting beliefs to say, oh, I can't run that message. They said, damn, that is a unique message. I got to figure out how I run that shit in my area. And then they learned, oh, well, since you are the creator of the message, you create all the guidelines. I'm safe, right? Like it ain't rocket science.
All right. I love it. All right, man. Alex, I appreciate you coming here. It's been a great time. I always like having our guys leave us with a message. So what message you want to leave us with our audience here?
Man, that's a message. I would say right now, knowing what I'm being back in the grind of real estate in content is consistency, is the number one thing. And what we do when it comes to content isn't trackable as an ROI. It's very difficult. So people give up. What they don't realize is it's your content and people seeing you over and over that makes all the other areas of your business work. When you circle prospect in, when you do run an ad or you send a postcard, if you're doing a good job and you do frequency and consistency, that will eventually get you the results that you want. but don't say I didn't see a sale from it, so this shit don't work. Like it's a different animal. It is a different animal. But I'll tell you, it'll be a game changer. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Look at where he was to where he is with a content strategy. Look at Grant. Listen, you guys talked about Grant Cardone. Guys, there are principles and patterns that successful people are doing. Just follow it. You know, if you see a lot of these guys are building momentum in a new marketing media space, go sign up, check it out. Like you look at Frank Kern, you know, every one of his ads has the same exact layout. Like it's the same layout. He's like, my opening is a question. I have 3 different ways that I ask that question, period. And I'm like, so I started looking at all his ads. I'm like, he wasn't bullshitting.
He does.
Like, it's this. So he's like, take my formula and you create a winning ad, right? So you start to see all of that. You like, you know, the big thing on video was that first 7 seconds, that pattern interrupt. Nobody did it better than Billie Jean, right? With the, hey, come here in front of his, you know, studio, right? Like, how many people are waving something in front of a camera, or there's an effect in the first 3 seconds? That's a pattern interrupt. So, man, if everybody's doing it, there's probably a reason, right? It causes people to stay longer on your video, which causes greater engagement, increases, like, look for patterns. I promise you, if you study marketing, content, and people who are doing it at a high level, you'll pick up on these and you'll get a little bit better every day. And that's the thing with video. You got to do it every day. Because it's like, if you don't do it for a week, the first time you get back on video, you're like, blah, 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 blah. Like you're stumbling, like you're nervous, you get the sweats again. But you do it every single day, man, you just turn your phone on and you go.
Dude, that's fantastic. It's like working out. It's like I just started working out again. I took like a couple weeks off. Dude, I'm hurting. I'm talking about like getting started and getting back to it. Those first couple of days suck. But, you know, that's a consistent. When you're consistent with it, I know where that gets to, where you can just do it. You're not as sore. You're waking up. You're feeling better. You're feeling fit. Same thing with videos, man.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. Well,
thank you so much for being on.
Happy to do it anytime.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the Hollie and Krem show, guys. You know what it is, real estate branding content. I went the right order that way, the right way. I'm happy. But yeah, Alex, thanks for coming on. Hollie, always a pleasure. So take us away.